Hey guys, don't forget to go like and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. We'd also love to hear feedback and questions from our listeners about today's episode. Feel free to shoot us an email at askSoSheSaid@gmail.com or SoSheSaidShow on Instagram. And without further ado, let's get this party started. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of SoSheSaid. I'm Asha.
I'm Tam.
And last week we had a very fun current event episode where we were talking about Jacquees getting out of jail.
Yes, I don't know where they were.
Jacquees getting out of jail.
Yes.
We also discussed Kim Kardashian's lawsuit.
Yes.
Jordan Woods and keeping up with the Kardashians, that whole ordeal, and a lot of other fun stuff just to keep you updated on the world of the news that we have going on. Social media news, not hard-hitting news, but it's still news, I guess.
Yeah.
And this week, I have a topic that I'm going to get into in a little bit, but first and foremost, Tam's going to hit you with the jams of the week.
Yeah, so this week on the Vote playlist to keep with the summer vibe because it's still hot even though the sky is overcast and there's some weird weather things going on. Earthquake weather, I guess. Final Destination type shit. First up, we got Civil War by Russ. I don't know if you're a fan of Russ. He has a lot of, I don't want to call them YouTube hits, but kind of, like Losing Control and all of that. It's a really cute song. The video is super cute. It's shot in Africa, has all these black people in it. Very cool. Second, we have Down Bad by The Dreamville Camp. Is featuring J.I.D., Baze, J. Cole. Then we got Leave 'Em Alone, PNB Rock featuring the City Girls, because although we are disappointed about what's going on with the girls lately, we still want to stream them and keep them going. Keep up the momentum. And then lastly, Old Town Road is the first song ever to be diamond and number one at the same time.
I really like that song.
And I think we talked about that song when it first came out and we told everybody to stream. So yeah, keep streaming because he's breaking all these records. I think it's super cool. He's so young.
Trap country.
Yes, and he's getting money. So go support the young kid, Lil Nas X.
I think it's annoying that the song had to have Billy Ray
to get accepted,
to be accepted on the country charts. It's annoying.
It is what it is. I think it's funny and a dig that Billy Ray Cyrus made it to the BET stage before Miley did. So, she
was probably hot.
That's how it had to happen. I don't care. Whatever. I'm here for it. Do you have any songs you've been listening to?
I'm sure that I do off the top of my head. I can't really think of any. I think I told you guys about Windows by Kamaya.
Yeah.
I've been listening to some song called Who's by Jacquees.
Okay.
Everybody always tries to shit on him, but I actually really enjoy his music. He kind of gives me is it Avant?
Yeah.
He gives me an Avant
I think it's just
vibe.
because he's a troll. So people don't like him because of his little
King of R&B. I mean,
yeah.
you gave him the attention that you wanted.
Yeah. I've been listening to Proud of You by Gucci Mane. I love Gucci Mane and his little antics on social media. Him and Keisha Kayor, I think they're so cute. Ghetto Love.
I've been listening to a lot of The Internet. I love them as a group.
Yeah. It's so many of them, though.
There is, but I feel like I always discover new songs by them, and I find that I always just enjoy their sound in general. I feel like they give us jazz in a way, but modern jazz. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, they do.
R&B jazz fused together.
There's this group, and I don't know what they're called, but they were in the 90s, and they used to wear kind of hippie-ish clothes, and they were black, and they were from the South, and they used to make songs, and that's kind of who The Internet reminds me of. It was mixed girls and guys in the group. Yeah,
I love them. I've been listening to Palace/Curse, and I think it's featuring Steve Lacy and Tyler, the Creator.
Okay, I like Tyler.
Yeah, it's just they make vibey music to me, and that's why I love The Internet. What else has been on my list?
Oh, Jaden Smith came out with Eris, his CD. I I know he looks weird and stuff. I'm not a fan of the fashion, but the music is cool sometimes. So check out the music.
I've never actually checked out his music before.
Yeah, his
Maybe
music
I'll
is
tune
cool.
in.
His outfits and stuff, you got to tune that out.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's not for us. I think it's for the young suburban white kids, the Calabasas kids.
Her just dropped a new track called Racks.
Okay.
Featuring YBN. What's the rest of his
Corday?
name? Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I like him.
Yeah. And then there was a song that I had sent you. It's called I Want You Around by Snow Allegra. And
I like
it's
that
super
song.
cute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last but not least, my cousin has a song. His rap name, we won't tell you his real name, is King G.I. and it's called B.O.M.B. featuring a female rapper called Rocky Bad. Mm-hmm. It's very California. It gives me early YG vibes. And the B.O.M.B. my bad, stands for Back on My Bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's a very cool song to drive through.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead, check it out, download it. And what do you got for the Netflix pick?
It's back. The Yummy Mummies of Melbourne.
Oh shit!
Season 2.
Everybody got their babies now.
Everyone has their babies now. Okay. And they're like another new girl is on the scene and like trying to be a part of the group. I still have like...
Does she already have a baby or...
Yes, she has a new baby though, like a newborn. And the others, like their kids are like 2 or something now. And they're like all like, oh, we should all get pregnant and be pregnant together. And I'm just like, I pray that... when the time comes for me to have a family and a husband, that isn't my life where I'm just going to boring mom groups and like PTA meetings and like a group of friends like, hey, let's all be pregnant together and hold hands and like go to Lamaze class together. Like, I'm just like, that just sounds like the death of me. And there's this one girl, her name's Eva, and she's the new girl in the group. She just had her baby. And like, they're just like, oh, we should all get pregnant. She's like, well, you guys can do that.
For real.
She's like, that sounds terrible. She's like, I swear. She's like, I wanted to sew it up right after the first one came.
Oh
and she's just like, I can't even be social with my friends anymore. Someone's like, hey, you want to grab coffee? I'm like, no, I'm stuck at home, like breastfeeding the baby.
I have to say this. I think that social media, among other things, has like glamorized the fun parts of parenthood and has like, people do not even think about the other shit that you actually got to take care of the kid. People are like, I want to match my kid. I want to take my kid to Disneyland. I want to take my kid on vacation. I want to throw a sick baby shower. I want to throw crazy birthday parties. And you don't realize you got to be stuck taking care of that kid. Like,
all
it doesn't
the time.
walk. It doesn't talk. It doesn't use the bathroom. Like, this is what's up.
But they were even saying like traveling with children is a pain. They're like, you think you're just going to pack a bag, but no, you have to pack the whole damn house when you're traveling. They're like, try traveling around the world with a child. They're like, it's one of the hardest things.
Well, yeah, your baby probably gets sick.
Yeah, that you can possibly do. No. And I don't know, like, it was just funny to me how, like, they're, like, grown women, like, in a clique, like, oh, we're the most fabulous mom group in all of Melbourne, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'm just like, okay. They're like, yeah, they all want to be us, and their husbands want to be with us. And, like, I'm just like, I guess, like, this is boring mom life at its finest, like, because you don't have other shit to do.
Yeah, it makes me kind of weird that like they feel so superior to everybody else. Like, there's still single young girls out there, right? Like, it's not just moms and people with families.
Granted, they do have a Netflix show that's on their second season.
I guess so, yeah, so they feel popping.
But yeah, I mean, I binged it. I watched the whole thing. Does old girl
have an upgraded house, Versace?
She's not in this.
Oh,
they got rid of it. And I was like, dang, I kind of wanted them to bring her back because she was the whole interesting show.
What? I don't wear counterfeit.
But yes, for you guys that don't know about the Yummy Mummies of Melbourne, it's about these moms in Australia. They were all pregnant at the same time. Mm-hmm. They're all really pretty, have money, and it's kind of like a housewives type of show, but like an Australian housewives show. So if you enjoy drama and Australian drama, check it out. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's about all I've got for this week.
In fashion news, I got the cover of July Vogue with Miss Naomi Campbell. She looks beautiful. I guess this is one of several covers with different women on there talking about their initiatives. Naomi Campbell, I guess since the early 90s, has always been a global ambassador for different causes, AIDS and helping aid in Africa, things like that. She was a close friend with Nelson Mandela. Now her new initiative, because Edward Inful, I think that's how you say his name. He's the new editor-in-chief of British Vogue, and they're really close friends. So she's like has a premiere role over there, and she's trying to use that to expand like the fashion diversity and stuff in Africa. Instead of having designers like go there for a show, use fake kente cloth, she wants African people to be able to have collections and show at Fashion Week and all that type of stuff. So I think it's really cool.
That is.
Yeah, she's like wearing African designers. She's going over there a lot. I think she was on the cover of one of these magazines with Stormzy, a Nigerian rapper. So she's really going out of her way. I think it's great. At this point, she's like icon status. She don't got nothing to lose. It's not like she's hurting for money.
Right.
She's been dating billionaires since I was a kid, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She has plenty of houses and cars and shit.
All that, the dream life.
The jewelry. Oh, for me, I watched on Netflix The Last Tsars. It's about the last Russian emperor and their family, Nicholas, Alexandria, and Anastasia, which we all probably saw that cartoon when we were young. It's crazy. I love period films because of the costumes. These costumes are off the chain. Russian people have the most crazy jewelry. Everybody was dripping in diamonds and shit. It was insane. So check that out if you're into that sort of thing. Netflix.
I don't know. For me, period films it depends on the period that it's in. Like, I can't get with all the Hithers and Smithers and Thous and Arts and like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
But
I don't like Shakespeare.
Like, I can't go that far back. Like Victorian theme type shows. Like, those are hard for me. Like, I can do like 70s, like The Get Down and like, I guess like more recent stuff. Like, but sometimes it's hard for me to like go back.
Did you ever watch? I feel like there should be more period shows about Black people because we don't have a lot other than like the Blaxploitation era when they would show like Pimps and Fox and Cleopatra and all that.
And I'm gonna get into this. This actually has something about what like my topic is today.
I really want there to be like, because now the thing with period shows that I'm starting to notice as a longtime fan is that they're sprinkling in Black people. So like recently on there was a show about Catherine of Aragon, the Princess of Spain, who married Henry VIII, and she had a Black lady in waiting, which would be crazy, right? Mind blown. I've seen several shows about the Tudors, all of this shit, never mention of a Black lady in waiting, or that they had Black people in the Tudor army, none of this shit. Historically, you might be able to look it up and find it, but they don't depict it in their shows and shit like that. Cleopatra was played by Elizabeth Taylor and a host of other white women. Like, they don't show that kind of stuff. So it's kind of annoying. And then as a kid, I get why Black kids in America be like, I'm tired of seeing the slave shit because that's all that art. Like, we have the most slave movies, period. We don't have anything before that. Or like, there's no 60s and 70s movies. There's no Black people in the 20s. Like, why aren't there any Harlem Renaissance movies? What the fuck? Why are there no movies about the Black millionaires that were out? You know, Madam C.J. Walker, different types of people that had money. I don't understand. Like, why are we just slaves and then we're up into modern times when we're thugs and gangbangers and shit?
Because there's always an agenda.
It makes me sad. Even like some old church movies, like Black Church is one of the oldest things in America. We can't get no old Black church movies. I know there was drama.
I feel like those are always encompassed into civil rights and slave movies.
Jeez, I'm so tired of it. If I see one more Martin Luther King-esque, Rosa Parks-esque movie, I get it.
Like, I didn't watch Selma.
I didn't need to see Selma. Like, I saw the shit in real life in class like 7 times.
Yeah. There was a point in time where Black History Month really used to depress me. When I was a kid, I used to have nightmares every time Black History Month came around because... Oh,
that's sad.
Well, yeah, because I feel like in school, they would always show us, like, these movies and, like, images of, like, Black people being hung in the forest or burned or, like, all this, like, traumatic shit that was happening to us, getting sprayed by water hoses. And as a kid, I'm just like, oh, my God, is that going to happen to me? So I'd go home and I'd have nightmares about it. And every time Black History Month would come around, I would just be like... Here we go. Yeah. Like, oh, here the white kids awkwardly staring at you in class. Yeah,
that's like, the worst
how do you feel?
That's the worst part. We're the only Black kid and everybody's like, so this is your history, huh? We just learned about how the glorious George Washington and all that bullshit. You were getting beat. How was your family? Is everything okay?
Yeah. It was never like fun.
I remember this Mexican boy in class used to call me esclavo, that's slave in Spanish.
Oh, wow. That's really fucked up.
That's how fucked up it is. Nobody has like a history worse than ours, and they only tell that part, and then they move on to the next thing.
So I think from here we should just segue into what it's gonna get into.
Which is why personally I'm not that cool with religion, because I feel like it was introduced to us to beat us and control us and all of that.
Well, so
Christianity at least.
I've been on, I guess what one would say, like a spiritual journey as of late. And I, like, for me, there's no doubt in my mind that there is a God and that God exists. I actually had a conversation with somebody who I have an interest in recently, and like he was asking me, like, do you believe there's a beginning? Do you believe there's an end? And we had this whole conversation about spirituality, like law of attraction, all that other stuff. And I found myself getting really upset and almost like defensive. Not necessarily because I'm defending like one religion, but just because like he's like, I don't think that there's like a difference between the spiritual realm and like the physical realm. Like I feel like it's all encompassed together. But what I was trying to do was just like listen to another person's perspective. But I guess in a sense, like for me, like you can do all the research that you want to do. And like he was telling me, he was naming all scriptures and all this other stuff because he's went in depth about, religion and studied all different forms of it. And like I think he told me that he's agnostic.
Yes.
He's saying, I'm not saying that there is a God, but I'm not saying that there isn't either. I just can't prove it.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with that same school of thought. If somebody made me pick a school of thought, I would say I was agnostic too, but I don't think that's what it means for me. For me, it means that I believe there's some type of God, but I don't think you need to have any type of religion. Because religion is people, and I think people always fuck it up. Because if God wanted me to wear a certain outfit and do all of this and give money, like there would be more than just you telling me. I'm sorry. But I do believe that something did create all of us, and there is like a divine providence in
I don't
the
think that it was just the Big Bang and a series of atoms just exploded and like here we are today. Like I think that there's more than that. And then I think why I was getting upset is because I didn't realize how important like my spirituality like is to me in a sense. And I was just like, could I, like, I never really thought that would be like a conflict. Like, you know how they say, like, don't bring up religion, don't bring up politics when you interact with other people because that's going to, like, cause shit to hit the fan. And I'm just like, could I really, like, date somebody that doesn't hold the same beliefs that I do? But then in the same sense, it's weird what I'm going through because in some regard, I'm challenging some of my own beliefs as far as like Christianity goes and like things that are said, because from my understanding, there were books that were removed from the Bible. And, I have a friend and she's Jewish. She's black, like a black Jew. And she was telling me that, I was just talking about, like, why is it that black people always go through everything? Like, why is it always us? And she's like, that's because we're God's people. We're God's chosen people. We're the true Israelites. And I'm almost straddling that fence to, being a black Israelite because not the people standing outside on Crenshaw with the signs. But like,
just their belief. But that part of it.
It makes sense to me.
So recently, my grandma is one of the most religious people I know. If there's any type of religious influence or anything, exposure, I've gotten it from her for the most part. She was my first teacher on stuff like that. And recently, I was talking to her about politics, and she's like, she don't like Trump or whatever, but a good thing that he's done is like move the embassy to Jerusalem and Israel. And I'm like, Grandma, you don't understand that just because the Bible says this and that doesn't mean that these people are the Jewish people. I said, Grandma, what if the real Jewish people are the Palestinian people? I said, and they're more brown, they look like us. What if that's it? I was like, Israel wasn't real before World War II. You can Google it. I can show you on my phone right now. This is a whole made up thing. What if, even what you believe, which I don't really believe, but let's say you're right and Jesus is going to come back. What if he's not coming back because y'all are fucking over his real people on the other side of your fence? You're not thinking this through. And the white Jewish people that are miraculously coming from all over the world, they come from Sweden, they come from Russia, everywhere, white skin. These are the Jewish people. How does that make sense, girl?
I mean, historically, it doesn't make sense at all because, I don't know, like, it just would make sense that we are, like, the true Israelites. In my opinion, it doesn't sound that crazy to me. But there's just certain things about me with church and giving offering. Like, I stopped going to a certain church because, like, I just felt like every time I was there, they were just so pressed for money. And they were just like, well, if you don't give, this isn't going to happen for you. And then, you know, I like to consider myself to be an intellectual. And I'm just like, okay, like, the Bible is supposed to be like law, you know, and I've read Proverbs and, you know, certain books like that. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like real. It sounds plausible. But then to know that there's books that have been removed from the Bible tells me that a man did that and a man also wrote it. So I have a hard time depicting like truth from what was like edited and changed, because from my understanding, in slavery, we were told to believe that we were less than, and they didn't want us to read so that we could see that all men were created equal.
Yeah, or like they don't want you to read the parts of the Bible. Like if you watch a good cinematic example of this is in the Nat Turner movie where he's the preacher and they're telling him, teaching him how to read, but only specific parts of the Bible. They're not showing him like that God freed the Israelites and no shit like that. They're like, read the stuff that God says, obey your master and obey laws and be meek, and that you're supposed to turn the other cheek and all of that stuff. Like, that's your Jesus. This other shit is not for you. He didn't mean that. It's like you were created. They used it to say you were created to serve us. This is your God wanted you to do this. Yeah. And you can only go to heaven through your good works to me. So through you obeying me, that's how you earn your spot in heaven. But black people would talk negatively about Catholic people for confessing their sins to a priest. Well, you're working, quote unquote, still, even though you're free, to get into heaven, just like the slaves were. And you think you're better. You think you're superior to Catholic people. Okay. The other part that I don't like growing up with Christian people, they will argue with you, and everybody thinks Catholicism is bad, right? Because priests rape little boys and blah, blah, blah. Ooh, that's nasty.
I mean, but such shit happens in the Christian church, too.
But if you Google Christian church, Catholicism is the number one thing that comes up, because from that church, all of your religion is created. And people will argue you down. They will fight with you. And it's like, why? Why do you want to fight with me? It says it right there. The facts are the facts. Your religion is like a child of this religion. Just like Christian people don't fuck with Jehovah's Witness, but they're a faction of our religion. It's the same thing. They took it and they changed it up. Right.
So, interestingly enough, in this conversation, the Moors were brought up. Okay. And actually, I don't know what is going on in general. Like, it's just weird how shit works, because I feel like this has been like an ongoing conversation with different people. And I've been like realizing where people just stand in general with spirituality and religion and like what they believe. And it's all very interesting just to see that. I was even watching an interview with Tia Mowry on The Breakfast Club, and she was saying how she's spiritual and not religious because she admires something from every single religion, which is really cool. And I can feel that because I feel the same way. But like, I didn't know about the Moors at all. Okay. And that they came over, from Africa and to Spain and like essentially like taught the Europeans about how to clean themselves, like using soap, like just, you know, things of that nature. I know there's like more to it.
Well, not even just that, but even before that time, like people from all over the world would travel to like Timbuktu and learn how to read, and that was like the first library, and learn about math and all this stuff.
Yeah, but pyramids are important. I'm like back to where we were before in this conversation, like you're saying, like, why aren't there more like stories, like positive stories that were being taught? And I'm like, yeah, because I didn't know shit about the Moors. I'm 28 years old and I'm just now learning about this. And I'm like, that's crazy to me that, I mean, I guess it's not super crazy that we weren't taught this, but you have to seek that information out. Yeah. And the fact that I know that growing up Black in America, like I was only provided with certain information that my oppressor wanted me to know, and I really wanted everybody else to know too, that was growing up here. Within the school systems, within social studies, there's more of a focus on American history to an extent, and then you look at European history. In some ways, you go into like Mesopotamia and like the Middle East. Yeah, but it's like quick Asia. But it's very minimal, and I don't know that I could say that I would want my child to be in that type of a school system in which it's so controlled in what they learn, because I'm just like, wow, there's so much that I don't know. And so much research that I need to do as an adult to form my own reservations about said things, religion, history, etc., because I don't know. And that's the hard part, because there's something that's called faith, where you believe in things that you don't necessarily need to see. Like for me, like I said, there's no doubt in my mind there's a God. But then to an extent, I'm like, for a lot of things, I have to do research. I have to know what I'm talking about. But I don't think that you can prove everything either.
Okay. I feel like when it comes to religion and stuff, and why I'm so like, I'll pick anything but that, is because, sure, I believe in a certain amount of faith, and that you don't have to see everything to know that it's real or know that that thing exists. Like, I don't have to ever see air, but I know I breathe air all the time. I know air is everywhere. I know that that's how I'm alive. So that's how I feel about a higher power or some type of God. That's what I've been taught that it is, you know, God. When I went to Muslim school, it's Allah. You know, when I go, my Jewish homegirl, it's Yahweh. It's different stuff, right? But everybody believes in some type of God, right? And essentially, most people, if you listen deeply enough, they have the same type of story. Some prophet came to his realm of people, told him he got a story from his higher power. This is how he wants us to live now. So I view religion as just a way for people to live, different instructions. So that's why different parts of the world got different instructions for the way they live, because it was better for them in those areas, even down to like cleanliness, stuff you should and shouldn't eat, all of that. But like, as far as rules and things that I can and cannot do because you've decided, or because you got a book that says I can't, that doesn't make sense to me. Because how long ago was that written? Who were the people there that wrote that? Because air doesn't write anything. Air doesn't tell people how to live. Air doesn't even tell you how to breathe. It just is. It's just there. And I feel like God is the same way. So I don't even know how people could believe, you know, growing up in Christianity, there's a lot of like, I prayed and God helped me to do this. God, you know, made the success possible for me. But then when somebody dies, that same God let that person die. That doesn't reconcile with me, right? So it's like God just is, and you have free will, and it is what it is. And I believe when you're doing well, the universe, God conspires in your favor. You're on the right track. Little stuff will happen to help you, push you along the way. You might want to give up. You don't have a car. Somebody might give you a ride. You know, little shit happens. You're hungry. Somebody from your family's like, hey, we're having a little party. You should come through the house. You get some free food. Like, things happen. And when you're doing bad shit, it goes quick. Bad keeps happening to you. I don't believe that that is negative or positive from some higher power. I think that's just the forces at hand. But when you go into like, oh, you shouldn't live with the person you're not married to, and you shouldn't have a kid if you're not married, and you shouldn't dress this way, you shouldn't do this thing. And it's like, I remember when I was in church, because I went to Christian school, and it's like, okay, well, where are the rules about cell phones? Because there was no cell phones out when they made these rules. So if my husband now is on porn every night on his cell phone, where in the Bible are the rules for that? What is he supposed to do now? Does that fall under adultery? Does that fall under fornication? Because he's not going nowhere. He hasn't touched nobody. But he don't talk to me no more because he's fucking the video game, like we talked about last episode. Where's the sin part for that? You don't have that. So what are we supposed to do? So that's how I know there's a flaw in your system. You don't got everything as together as you think you do. And that's because this was made by people, and people are flawed too.
I would be interested in reading the books that were removed from the Bible.
It's like all of these big books. You can watch like shit on YouTube. It's like Dead Sea Scrolls, and like different religions have parts of it, like the Torah and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested.
It's in a different language.
Right. I mean, like, that's very extensive.
Right? So, but don't you think, like, even with that, once I found that out, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not taking this for face value either, because shit, even translated from English to Spanish gets different connotations, different words mean different things.
Right, and I would think that if there was an original book, it would be in like Latin or like Hebrew or something, like an ancient language. And then, like you said, like it's hard to like translate that into English today.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with the King James version of the Bible, truly.
Right.
My friend told me, you got to get like a kid Bible and start there to where they break it down so that a child can understand it. Yeah, and I'm just like, because I told you the thous and arts and all that. I'm like, you had me, but then you lost me.
I feel like I'm about to do a play.
Yeah, it's just so interesting in general, like religion, like, and then Tia, like, when the interview I was saying, she's like, you know how some people can just dedicate so much time, like, to their spirituality, like, you know, like Jewish people, like how every, what is it, Friday or
Shabbat.
Saturday, they like don't use electricity and they just use candlelight, like, and that's how dedicated they are to, you know, their worship. I'm like, I think that's beautiful, but I think there's like beautiful aspects in almost every religion.
Yeah, like I think it's beautiful. Muslim people pray 5 times a day. Yeah,
I can't get behind though things that are done in the name of religion, like Al-Qaeda, or the Great Crusades, missions, slavery. Those things that are done in the name of it, but I also think that falls under people and human error and humans wanting to have their own play and control over how this should be interpreted when it wasn't meant for this purpose at all.
Like, a good example of this, have you ever seen The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington?
No.
Okay, it's a super good movie, and it's like essentially Denzel Washington, spoiler alert, he is blind. And this is like the post-apocalyptic world. So this is like if the nuclear bomb went off, this is how society is going to look. It's like everywhere is desert, there's no food, people are struggling. And he has this Bible, and he has to hide it. And it's Braille because he's blind, but people don't know that. And because I guess it's been so many years that this shit has been going on, people can't even read anymore. Like, it's a lost thing, people don't do it. So there's this area of town where people have kind of got it back together. Like, this guy figured out how to get water. He has this little, like, hotel thing going on. So he's basically like the mayor in that area. He finds out he has a Bible, and now he's on his shit because he's like, this controls people. And if I can just read these words, like, I will have this whole town on lock. People will walk from everywhere. I got water, too. Like, I will be that nigga in this town. I could be the president. We can start this whole shit all over again. And it's like the desperate lengths he went to try to get this Bible and try to get it translated for him. It was crazy. And it's like, yeah, because that's what it's used for in every century. You could go back into time. People use the Bible for whatever they want. Salem Witch Trials, we're going to burn all these bitches. Because we're going to do this now. We're going to get slaves. Okay, women can't vote. All right, no abortions. Because the Bible. Every time you could use the Bible for something. And it's like crazy. It's undefeated. No matter what time period, no matter what's going on, people can always use religion and throw it at people. And I think that is telling. And I don't want to say like weak-minded people, because I don't think that's correct. But I think it's just people that maybe don't have the time and maybe don't want to think as in-depth about certain things. Because some people don't like to think of the world as this complicated place, or that things are dark, or that people might try to use other people. They just think that, you know, people are essentially good. They're not a bad person, so they don't understand other people wanting to do shit like that, and they just go along with it. If the news tells them like the sky is orange, they'll be like, all right, I guess it's orange now, whatever, we're gonna go along with it. They don't want any trouble. Those type of people are the people that get used by religion all the time. So just like, I'm sure there was a lot of good white people that thought slavery was bad once they saw it, and like saw people getting beat and all that shit, and then saw somebody's baby get taken from them and get sold. They were like, oh, this wasn't cool. But they went to church, and the preacher was like, it's fine, that's what they were God given for. God says that this is how they're gonna get into heaven, they have to do this, blah blah blah. She's like, oh shit, well maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is what happens, and you know, this is God's will, and maybe I have to get a slave too. And it's weird. Like, people use shit to justify what they do. And
that's where, like, the law comes into play and whatnot. And I guess your own interpretation of what's right and wrong and what's good versus evil. Now, I guess my own relationship with God would be from my own experiences. Like, my aunt, she passed away in February, but like maybe she's been in and out the hospital for what, like 3-4 years or so. And I remember me and my entire family just sitting in ICU. The doctor came in and was like, you guys should all go say goodbye. Like, she's not going to make it. We're all in there, like, you know, praying and whatnot. And they're like, yeah, she like literally has a few minutes left. And then one of my aunts walks in there and she wakes up and starts talking. And they're like, we've never seen this before. This has never happened. We don't know how this happened because on our charts and through our research and all of our data, she should have been gone already. And to me, the fact that you can sit here as a doctor that went to school and studied, and your graphs and your charts and all this other bullshit says that she wasn't supposed to make it, and she's sitting here alive and talking and died 4 years later. You can't explain any of that to me, and you can't tell me that that wasn't God.
Yeah, but then people would, like devil advocate, people would argue with you and just say that, oh, he's just wrong, and people can be wrong because science is flawed too. And they could say, and then there are spiritual people that maybe don't necessarily believe in religion would say, oh, it was your family and you guys' energy in there, because people have a will to live. And certain people, like they say, old people, when they don't get visitors, they die quicker and stuff like that because they don't have any connection. All of you guys were in there praying for hours. The one person she wanted to see walked in. That's what brought her back. That's what a spiritual person might argue. So it's like there are a lot of different things, and I think Black people, for whatever reason, we're the most prone all the time to go to religion, and I feel like it's because we're the people with the least hope. Like, we don't have a lot of opportunity. We don't have our history, even from what we're taught, even the stuff that we don't know maybe is not very positive. So it's like we've always been the people of struggle. Maybe even in Africa, we're like warring people. We fight all the time. So we cling on to that, like religion, like there's a better place after this. Like there's somebody out there looking out for me type of thing. We don't just leave it as like, cause most Asian people, Chinese, at least, I won't say the other religions that are people that are like Buddhist, they're fucking atheists. They don't believe in anything. And these people go to college, they're successful, people live long, all of this stuff. They don't attribute it to anything but their own hard work. So they're like, you got to go out hard. You got to go hard all the time. You got to be a beast. You got to do whatever it takes. So you can have that life. Whereas Black people, we're like, we went to a war. I want to thank Jesus. None of this will be possible. And I'm not saying that's bad, but if that's how you live your life, don't you think at some point, because I've seen people be immobile by religion. Like, they're like, oh, I don't got no money for my rent. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
But I think that's just left up to that individual person.
Yeah.
Like, I believe in the law of attraction. I think that if you think positive thoughts, then positive things will flourish in your life. But it comes with also having a plan and actioning that plan. You can't just sit and just wait for something to fall out of the sky. I feel like if you put the work in, then God will bless you and what your pursuits are. My own interpretation of that incident was that I consider that to be a miracle. And I've been witness to a miracle. Not only that, but I was in a terrible car crash in 2009 when I had my Toyota Corolla. I was going out to Riverside to see my best friend for her birthday, and my car skidded out of control. I hit a big rig head first. My windshield shattered. Then my car skidded back across my car bounced off the big rig, and then I hit the freeway median. My car bounced off of that. I skidded across 5 lanes on the 60 freeway, and I hit the opposite freeway wall. My car was completely totaled, smoking. I think it started to catch fire under the hood, and I came out with a scratch on my foot. How the fuck am I still here and alive when I was sure I was going to die? That's just my personal experience, and I don't care what anybody tells me or what type of research people come by to present towards me. Nobody can tell me that there's not a God, because I don't know how on earth I was able to survive such a thing without him being present, and just different things that he's done in my life in general. Like, I should have died several times, and I'm still here for some reason to fulfill some sort of greater purpose. I don't necessarily think that's because I'm hopeless. I actually hold a lot of hope and faith that, the things that I want in my life are going to come to pass. But I don't think that my beliefs or, anything that I've read about in the Bible are rooted in hate. But I believe that's because of it's my own relationship that I hold with God. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, because you're gay, you're homosexual, you're going to be damned to hell because the Bible says this. I don't believe that whatsoever. But I think that everybody in their own life, within their own experience, has to come to whatever conclusion they're going to come to. And it's not my place to try to force that down your throat to believe what I believe in. But again, like, if someone wants to come and ask me what I believe, I do believe that there's a God. I do believe that there's a separate spiritual realm from the realm that we live in here in the physical. Just that I believe that there are ghosts. I believe that there are demons, just like I believe that there are angels. I think there's more beyond where we are right now. I don't know. That's just where I stand in general. But just, I don't know. I guess just seeing like the broad picture and what everybody believes and how it's all different, but in a way, I think, like, if you look at, like, Buddhism, like, Buddhists, I could be very wrong, but what they believe that God is, like, in nature. Like,
God is in everything. Yeah.
God is in everything. God is in the trees. God is in the water, you know, like, the mountains. I think I believe that, too. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're wrong, because I feel very spiritually connected when I go out and I hike and I'm in the forest and I'm just like, wow, like, this is so beautiful. Look at all these colors, all these textures. I'm looking at it from an artistic point of view and I'm just like, I don't know what else could have made this but God, a higher power. It's amazing to me. You go see some shit like the Grand Canyon and I'm just like in awe. I'm just like, wow. I choose to call him God. Yeah. Someone else could be like, that's Allah. Someone else could call it the universe. Like, but I think in a way we're all kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah. I'm more apt to believe in a higher power when it is in relation to nature and stuff like that than it is in relation to people. Because I forget the word for it. It's like some type of philosophical way of thinking. But it's like I believe that people are essentially bad in nature. Because I've seen people, even relatively good people that I've seen do nothing but good prior to this, do something bad. Like in the blink of an eye, do something bad. So I believe that everybody has the capacity to be evil. But the mercy and the nature and the, you know, the peace and all that, what keeps it level is nature. Because the worst person in the world can do shit about like a catastrophic event, a man-made event. You know, the worst government official, the guy that kills people on the block for money, can't do shit about a natural disaster. Nature makes people powerless. It renders people powerless, and it has its way. And I don't think nature doesn't discriminate either. I don't care if you got money; it'll burn your house down. That's the kind of stuff I see God in more than that than I see it in people, because I don't know, people just, I've seen too much. And then also, like, I don't discount miracles, because I've seen like great things happen, tragic situations turn around, people that were on life support, like, not supposed to live. I've seen people live, but I've also seen the opposite. I've seen children die. I've seen babies like just be born and not make it home. So like there's too much of both of those things in the world for me to be like, there's a God that's sorting all of that out. There's not. Because if there is, he's missing a lot of work on the other side. And I don't think a God would be that unjust. So I feel like when things happen in people's lives, when certain stuff happens, when you get out of little situations, I would always say when I was younger, like, I would be doing crazy shit. I'd be out when I'm not supposed to be out. Like, told my mom had a ride with someone, didn't have it. I'm taking the bus back home, all types of shit. And I'd be like, I make it because my grandma has prayed for me so much. Like, my grandma has prayed for me since I've been born. So all of her well wishes to the God that she believes in, I don't even have to believe in it, is keeping me safe, because somebody's putting that much out good for you all the time. And then I believe too, you know, if you're a good person, if you don't necessarily do bad to people, even if you're young, you make a stupid mistake, maybe you're driving too fast, or you're not paying attention, you crash your car, you've done too much good before that, you haven't harmed any people, you're not a bad person for you to just die on the spot. You know, so there's something, like you said, there's something more that you have to go do. And I believe situations like that happen to wake people up. Like when you're not on your path, I believe more in that sort of thing. Like you're not on your path, bad shit will happen to shake you up, to let you know you're going the wrong way, to try to redirect you. Then like a certain yes or no, I prayed for this, I got this, I didn't give money at church, so this is not happening for me now. I believe in like your path, what you're supposed to do with your life. Like certain people close to me, I've known that they were meant to die young, because too much shit would just happen all the time. Like, you don't have 6 near-death experiences and you're like 17 years old. Something is going on out there that you have no control over. You're not supposed to make it.
Do you and your husband hold the same beliefs about, like, God and the universe, religion?
Kind of a weird thing. We've talked about this before. We've been together since we were young, like high school. And our first date, he asked me something about church, and I told him I didn't believe with Jesus. I didn't believe in Jesus. And he like grabbed my hand. We walked into the movie theater. And like in other situations, like I had people argue with me. I had people like try to convince me, tell me I was gonna go to hell, types of stuff. And it's like ever since then, like we just been cool. We don't go to church. We don't pressure each other about stuff. I think we both do believe in some type of higher power. But as far as religion is concerned, we don't do any type of religious holidays.
So you're both on the same accord.
Yeah.
Like so you're like equally yoked.
Yeah, in that matter. I think it would be difficult for me to be with a person that was super religious because I'm not the type of person that's going to disagree with you either. Like I go to church with my grandma if she asks me to, and I'll sit there and be quiet. I'm not a person that's going to try to beat you over the head with what I believe. But I feel like most people that are super religious, they feel like it's their duty to like save souls and all of that. So they kind of have to, and they're not as chill as me just dealing with it. Like I'll go to church I'll go to mosque, with my Muslim friend. I will go to temple with you if you're Jewish, whatever. I don't care. I'm here for the experience. I'm here to learn, whatever. But some people take it really harshly and they're not going to do it. I remember my friend, her grandma came from out of town, like across the country. She lived in the South. She came to California and someone was getting married in their family. And she didn't go to the wedding because it was in a church. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Whoever you believe in is not going to be mad at you for going to this person that you've known their whole life's wedding. You're taking it too seriously. And that's kind of why I don't like religion. Like, people put too much on it. They take it too seriously. But if that's what you do and I care about you, I'll respect you. I'll take my shoes off before I come in your house. The whole thing.
And I can understand somebody, like, not wanting religion to be, like, forced down their throat. I get that. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, don't sit here and try to tell me that what I believe in is false. Like, don't try to throw facts at me and tell me this, that, and the third about why I shouldn't believe that there's a God.
Yeah, I don't think you should try to convert people. Like, you believe what you believe and let that be it. Like, if I say something or, like, make a joke or something and you don't like it because you believe something else, just let it die there and let it be that. I know that you're not the audience for that conversation. I don't like it when people try to fuck with people like that. Because some people, you might learn later on. Like you said, you're 28, you just learned about the Moors. You might learn later on some shit that changes your mind, but you're not ready to handle it right now. You're not, and somebody throwing 1,000 facts at you isn't going to make you believe that. It's going to make you just want to like rebel and give a negative reaction. So if I want you to even believe what I believe, that's the wrong way of going about it. Because that would be the same thing as someone like making me go to church every day. I'm not going to believe what they're talking about. I'm sit here all day. I'm just going to be annoyed. So if you tell me, like, Jesus is not a real person and blah, blah, blah. And if you read this book and that book and that book, but you're like a devout Christian, it's just pissing you off. It's not even working. Like, your desired result, what do you want?
Yeah.
This lady knows preachers don't be up to shit. They be buying private jets and shit. She don't care. She feels like her preacher is different.
I feel like agnostic means that you straddle the fence.
Straddle the fence? I don't know. I just think it means that, like, you don't... That's the thing that bothers me, too, about religion, is because you can't be unsure. So, like, if I come to your Christian church, if I come to your Muslim church or whatever...
that's what I'm saying.
I can't not know.
No, I think that's exactly what agnostic is being unsure. Like, you straddle the fence. Like, you're like, I'm not saying there's not a God.
Yeah.
But I can't prove that there is one.
And I'm not going to pick one of y'all's.
Yeah, like, you're straddling the fence. You're like, you know what? There could very well be a possibility that this is 100% correct, because science can't disprove the existence of God.
Yeah.
Like, it can prove a lot of things. Actually, I don't know. I have my own ideas about science too. I'm like, this is information that somebody else is giving you.
Yeah.
to believe.
But that's what everything is. Like, if you don't go out and conduct the experiment, if you don't pour the petri dish and do all the shit, you don't know anything. Everything we have is secondhand, thirdhand anyways.
Right.
So you're just picking what you want to believe anyways.
Exactly.
So that's why I don't think it's a big deal to try to convert people or try to push whatever school of thought you have on other people. Like, everybody just let their freak flag fly. If you're a Christian or whatever you are, go to church with those people, and you have that time for people. But I think that's why people say, like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about it in social settings and public settings because it makes people upset or whatever. Like, yeah, it's a private thing. Your God is for you. Mm-hmm. But some religions, the one I'm most closely related to, you know, Christianity and Muslim, they're very judgmental against the outsider, the person that doesn't want to believe or the person that doesn't pick. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you can't be around them. You can't tolerate that. Mm-hmm. You have to, like, a super religious woman would never consider marrying a man that don't go to church.
Yeah.
I think that's why so many older black ladies who are, like, college educated, cute, the whole thing, are single because they're like, they can't find no religious man out there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what if that's just not his thing? What if y'all can still be happy together?
Do you think opposites attract, though?
In some cases. Mm-hmm. I think in dating, what people don't want to admit is that you attract what you are. So if you're kind of closed off, reserved, don't want to, like, go out much, know about much, you might attract a person that's kind of a party animal, but that's because you really want to go out, but for whatever reason you don't. And you have your reservations about it, but that person, like, makes you feel fun, like how old people want to date young people because they make them feel young again, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Super white boys date the black girl that got dreads. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like weird.
Opposites. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. I guess so. Mm-hmm. But I don't think two people of, like, totally different belief systems, if they're, like, strong in their belief, I don't think they can cohabitate together.
Mm-hmm. Because it's gonna come up.
It's gonna be war all the time.
Yeah.
And that person, like, especially when it comes down to having children, I've seen people be cool, like a Catholic and a Jewish person. They'll be married, they'll be having fun, going out, partying. As soon as they have a kid, that's when it's the problem. Because they're like, no, I want my kid to do this, and I want my kid to do that, blah, blah, blah. Even though they're grown now and they don't go to church or none of that shit, but they're, like, pressed about what they want their family to be.
Interestingly enough, so my auntie Margaret, she's not my blood auntie. She's my mom's best friend, my godmom.
Okay.
She's Catholic, and she's Filipino.
Okay.
And my uncle Michael, he's, like, Jewish.
Okay.
And they're married and happy and have a child. But I, like, always wondered, like, so which one of you got to pick?
Yeah, and, like, who had to give in?
Yeah, like, over, like, the influence over this child. Now, I mean, maybe it's because, like, you know, Judaism and Christianity aren't completely far off.
Yeah.
In their belief system. Like, they think they both recognize Jesus Christ and, you know, God and, like, the Old Testament.
Most things, yeah.
Yeah, like, so maybe it wasn't that far off, or, like, that.
Well, I think with Judaism, it has more rules. It's pretty strict. So it, like, you can only be Jewish, born Jewish, if your mom is Jewish. So if you're a Jewish man, that's why the mothers make a big deal about their son marrying a Jewish girl. So if you rebel against your family and you're Jewish and you marry a non-Jewish woman, then your children will never be Jewish unless they choose to convert after a certain age. So, like, I feel like if you're a Jewish guy and you marry a lady that's not Jewish, you probably don't care that much anyway.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Yeah, you're not pressed.
She's a completely different ethnicity.
And you're like, whatever she wants to do, we'll do, because I don't go to temple or whatever like that anyways.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think for Muslims, it's the same thing. Like, if you're a Muslim man, you marry a non-Muslim woman, you pretty much just threw the whole shit out, because she's not wearing the outfit. She's not going to sweep the rug. It's a lot of stuff she doesn't know how to do.
I've seen it, though, where the woman does convert over because they want to be with that person.
Yeah, I've seen women convert to Judaism to be married, and Islam as well. A very funny story, like, briefly, my grandma had some friends, and they owned, like, this repair shop, and they're Jewish men, and one of them, she used to bother the boy, like, oh, we can get married, blah, 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 like, you're getting older, all this stuff. So he gets married, but he married an American girl, and then she started, like, wearing that job and all that. And my grandma was like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to. And I'm like, girl, pick a side.
I used to work with this girl, and she'd come to work all cute and stuff every day, and then she, like, started, like, well, I guess she had a fiance.
Okay.
And they were planning on getting married, and then she started coming to work and, like, wearing the hijab and, like, was fully clothed, like, no skin showing. And then one day, like, she just started coming to work with, like, short skirts on, bob, like,
snap.
no hijab. And I'm like, oh, they must have broke up. Because...
She let that go.
I was like, oh, wait.
Put your freakum dress on.
I'm confused because...
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you have anything else? We're almost out of time.
No, that's about it. But this is a very interesting conversation for sure.
I would just like to say, everybody just choose your own thing. In the Quran, it says, unto you, your own, and unto me, my own. And I think everybody should live that way. Mm-hmm. Choose your own thing. Let it be that. Don't try to go out and fuck with other people. Beat them with your knowledge that you just got off of YouTube or whatever. You feel like you're super smart.
Everyone has their own path and their own journey, and you're going to form your own recollections about people, life, religion, regardless. And it's going to be based on your own experience.
Yes.
But the thing is I don't believe that anyone should try to force you to think otherwise.
No.
I do think it's okay to challenge thought.
Yes.
Like, and have an adult, conversation about things,
about
just to hear other people's perspectives, like kind of like what we just did. But don't get angry and be like, you're wrong, you're going to hell.
Yes. Oh, you a sinner, you a non-believer, blasphemer, infidel. All the words.
Yeah, because only God can judge you at the end of the day.
Right.
But that's it.
Bye.